Hey guys, it's Britt. Today we're here to talk about a family channel that goes by the name of Cam&Fam. I've actually covered their channel on mine before. She did kind of an expose a while ago of what it's really like being a family vlogger, the kind of keeping up with the Joneses idea, and some of the technicalities with keeping up this appearance of being this perfect little family channel for YouTube. But today we're going to talk about something else. She put out a video discussing the fact that she is a survivor of DV. But I want to talk about this because her audience is reacting in a very 50-50 way. So I figured that it would be a good topic to discuss with y'all and get some of my community's opinions on this. I just find it sort of interesting. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so this video did come out about 4 weeks ago, but I'm not a subscriber and it happened to be on my homepage on YouTube last night, so I sat up and watched it. And first I want to bring some attention to the like to dislike ratio. Now, this isn't a terrible dislike to like ratio, but I do think that it's somewhat interesting considering that usually her likes to dislikes are not, very plentiful. So she has 15,000 likes to 729 dislikes right now. And I want to bring some attention to the comments. Now, in this video, she does a lot of talking about timing and wanting to tell her story. She is coming out with a book to discuss her situation with her now past husband. So her husband discontinued his own life about 2 years ago. And this was a really big topic on YouTube when it happened because it was just shocking. It was sad. It was it was a tragedy. And he not only left behind his wife, but also his children. And it was just sad all around. And a lot of people, rallied around her to obviously give support and condolences and kind of be there in a manner in which they could be, seeing that she's a YouTuber and all. But she received a lot of support from subscribers and other people on YouTube. This video that came out says, saying the thing I've been too afraid to say. And before I get into the comments, I also want to say that I am not here to diminish anyone's experience. I am not here to say that these things did or did not happen. I want to talk about it from the stance of what a lot of subscribers are echoing, and that is that her husband is not here to tell his side. So I think that's why a lot of people took issue with this. Of course, correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me your all's thoughts down below. When we're talking about telling a story, I think everyone's here to provide a platform for anyone to want to tell their story. But I think that it can get a little complicated when you're talking about someone who is no longer alive to provide their side of the story. You have kids that are involved that are one day going to come across this content. And thirdly, it's being paired with an ad for a book. So I think that that's kind of the top reasons why people are giving her flack about this. I think that if it was just her separated from her husband and he was here to give his side if he wanted to, nobody would have anything to say. But it's the fact that he is no longer here that, and he did pass in such a tragic manner. He was obviously dealing with a lot of things. In order for him to have gone the way that he did, it's obvious that he was dealing with a lot of pain inside. And, that's something that I'm sure she and his family for sure are still processing. And I'm sure that it's very, very difficult. I can't speak my personal experience on that because I don't have personal experience when it comes to this. But I will say that there's no doubt that it's tragic all around.
And in order to tell my story and have it come across in the way that I'm wanting it to, with the intentions that I have behind sharing my story, I had decided that the best way to do that was through a book, to just write down what happened, to tell the full story. Because what I have to say is something that does not get talked about. And it is a very serious issue. And if I heard a story like that at the time while I was going through it, it would have changed the course of my life. I want to help people recognize the situations that they're in for exactly what it is. And I think hearing my story would be a first step in that direction to admitting to themselves what's going on and what they're going through. But as I sat down and started writing my book, I really started to ask myself if it was necessary to mention every single detail, to tell the full story, to expose everything to the world, and at what cost. Keeping in mind that my kids will likely hear this story someday. It's something that I planned on sharing with them at the right time and approaching it with compassion and really helping them to understand how complicated the situation actually was. But it's not something that I ever want to hide from them, and honestly, it's not something that I want to hide from anyone because I spent years hiding. But I know that sharing my story openly opens the door to a lot of criticism and people picking it apart and invalidating my experiences. And I don't want to feel like I'm trying to prove something, and I really don't want it to come off like I'm trying to paint my husband in a bad light. I have forgiven him and I have gotten past the anger, and I know that what he did wasn't him. It was the drugs that made him act like that. The last thing I want to do is bash him. I have no interest in painting him in a negative light. I want people to remember him for the amazing person that he actually was and not for him in his worst moments. And I want my kids to remember him that way. And it's just so hard because how do I share my story without changing the way that people see him and remember him? The way I look at death and an afterlife, I believe that all of the limiting human feelings that we feel, guilt and shame and regret and anger, all of those feelings aren't with us anymore in the afterlife. I believe he's looking down and he only wants good. He wants good for me, he wants good for the girls, and he wants good for everybody.
So the first comment says, no wonder, this is unforgivable. Spirits do feel. How can you shame him like that? Go get a therapist. You were so awful to him too. So glad your daughters have a nanny. Hope his parents can show them how much he loved them and not pretend to for YouTube. Just as bad as Cole and Savannah you are. And she's obviously talking about Cole and Sav LeBrant, who I've talked about here and there on YouTube. She's receiving a lot of support, obviously, and I do support her telling her story, but I just think that there's some technicalities around the way that it's being announced, combined with the fact that he's not here to say his side. Someone else said, this is not the right way to do this. You exploit your kids daily. You're doing this to plug a book. It's all about the money. It's gross. Stop using your dead husband for views. A lot of people are really concerned about the way that she is looking physically. I'm not going to comment on that because I haven't watched her for a really long time. I do hope that she's okay. You know, everything else put aside, no matter what someone does, I am always hoping that people are okay. Someone else said, I'm curious how his family feels about this. I don't get it. He can't defend himself with these allegations of abusing you. And I realize you play victim and change the tune. Someone else said, sorry if you get offended. That's not the purpose of this comment, but what do Landon's parents think about this? Did you tell them about it? Because I feel like it's getting to the point when Landon is gone and more dark stories are coming out where he can't defend himself. I know that you need to heal, especially when you are a teen mom with that many problems at home, and you have been through a lot. You're really strong in all of this, and your story will help young DV survivors. Evidently, quite a few people in the comments are saying that she has a history of saying not so nice things about him now that he's not here. And I'm not going to comment on that because I haven't watched enough of her content to have an opinion on it. But this situation I just find a little bit interesting. I also think that it might have been received a little bit better if it wasn't combined with this book plug that she's coming out with a book. You know, anytime YouTubers combine something traumatic alongside a brand deal, a book deal, you know, something that they're selling, I think that the audience automatically kind of gives a little bit of a side eye to the timing of it. Why now? Like, why is this being combined with something that you're selling? I just find it a little bit interesting, but I hope that she is receiving support from someone who is qualified. I think that mental health and being on YouTube is such a complex topic to discuss. But having been on YouTube now for a while, I can say from the creator side of things, if I was oversharing things to do with my personal life and kind of daily things that I go through, and I was receiving, you know, a million different criticisms, a million different opinions, I'm sure that it would affect me too. And I don't know if it would affect me in a way where I feel like people care, or in a way where people are just, you know, picking apart. But at the same time, when you decide to put your life out onto YouTube and put all of your day-to-day things out there, you also know that people are going to have opinions on those things. And that's just part of being a family vlogger, a lifestyle vlogger. You have to know when to cut off the oversharing and the putting out personal info. There has to be a line. It's one thing to share in order to give an explanation if something's being called into question, but just to overshare to get views or clicks is something quite different, and that's just kind of the way that I feel about it. But either way, I wanted to know what you guys think about this. Do you know of her? You know, I appreciated the video that she did a couple months ago, sharing about what it's really like to be a family vlogger. I thought that it was a really interesting stance from someone who did the family vlogging thing. But with this, I do just think that it would have been received a little bit different from part of her subscribers if it was presented not alongside the book deal. That's kind of where I stand on it. I hope that she's okay. I hope that she is getting professional help if she needs it. And, you know, I hope that she can find happiness again. So either way, those are my thoughts. How do you guys feel? For now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.